Everybody know that we are here, and I hope sound is good and everything.
Let's see, make sure I got YouTube unmuted so I can check it.
Everybody in the Discord know that we're here. La 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 la. Check 1 2 3. Check. Hello. Welcome to podcasting, everyone.
Yep, everything sounds good on my end.
All righty then. Well, here we go. I'm ready if you are.
Sure.
Let's do it in 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and it is 400 episodes of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
So how does it feel to be at 400 damn episodes?
It's kind of a cliche thing, but on one hand, it does seem like we've been doing the show forever, but it also seems like yesterday
I know.
that we just started. And I know we're going to get into like some favorite moments and whatnot a little bit later on. And I've actually got a couple of funny things that I remember from the early days of the show that I think you'll get a kick out of hearing.
Yeah. I've been really just going back trying to, remember all the stuff that we've done over the years. And I was looking back through, our feed and looking at all the episode descriptions and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, we've done a lot of cool stuff on this show.
Oh yeah, everything from all the news stories that we've talked about. One that comes to mind is just kind of the inception of the Switch and the build up to its release, because we've been fighting the Nintendo fight even before we started doing the show, and I remember saying like this is going to be Nintendo's last chance at a successful console, and sure enough, it's been successful. So now we just got to wait to see if they're ever going to announce the Switch 2, which apparently stuff's already leaking about, but they
Yeah, no
haven't officially
kidding.
announced anything yet.
So I'm looking that they're going to probably announce something here very, very soon. I mean, I don't know why they haven't already. At least something. It's like we already have everything. Just tell us what it is.
You know what they should do? This won't happen, but it would be mind-blowing if they did. They unveil the Switch 2 and they say it will be available in stores tomorrow.
Yeah. Dude, how awesome would that be? So how do you feel about just real quick before we go into everything, like just looking at some of the specs and everything, speculative specs, or it could be total garbage. You never know till this Nintendo officially announces stuff. But how do you feel about the Switch 2 just kind of being just a basic little upgrade and not like a complete different type of gaming system?
A little disappointed, but I'm not surprised. That seems to be Nintendo's thing. If they put out a console that is good, and then they'll put out one that's a little better spec-wise, but there's not that much of a difference. I mean, we look at the Wii and the Wii U. The Wii was a great system. It sold a lot.
Yeah.
That Wii Sports game sold them so many consoles, and then the Wii U comes out, and there's not even really like a big launch around it.
Yeah.
The big game for launch was the new Super Mario Brothers U, which I like the new Super Mario Brothers games, don't get me wrong, but it's not like a Smash Brothers or a Zelda. Like there's no heavy hitter. Like
Yeah.
with the Switch, they had Breath of the Wild. So that was an automatic like heavyweight fighter.
And it's kind of the perfect form factor too. It's dockable. You can play in handheld form. You can play it on the TV. It's got the what are they called? The controller. Joy-Con. I keep thinking I had nunchuck stuck in my head. I don't know why that, but because we were talking about the Wii. But the Joy-Cons and everything, you take them off and play that way. It's kind of hard to beat that kind of form factor. So all they really needed to do was an upgrade because you've got things, like the Steam Deck and all that kind of stuff coming out. So just give us something with a little more juice under the hood.
I think you would attract more of the I call them the casual gamers because I consider like the casual gamers to be more like they're going to buy an Xbox
Yeah.
or a PlayStation. People that want more powerful consoles would be more likely to buy a Switch too if it's considerably better.
And people are like, "Oh, it's only going to be as powerful as a PS4." Like, when did we get to the point where we have something as powerful as a PS4 in your hand that's portable and people are like, "That sucks." Like,
Because it's not
what?
the PS5.
Like, really? What? That's where we're at now in the world? Like, we have all these amazing little toys and we're just like, "That sucks."
That could go down a whole separate rabbit hole that we'd spend the whole episode discussing, but we're not here to discuss
Yeah.
bad things. We're here to discuss good things. 'Cause
Yes.
this is our 400th show.
Yeah, it is. So we do have some news to get to, and then we'll get into our 400 episode discussion. And so let's go ahead and do these news nuggets real quick. You ready?
Let's do it.
You were sounded like you were emulating Mario there for a minute. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
But-
Let's go.
All of tonight's stories were provided to us by Mr. Armez Jackson. And on this 400th episode, I want to give a big thank you to Mr. Armez Jackson, who makes my life so much easier for giving us these news stories every week. Because I'm eventually we're going to have to put him on the payroll if we ever start making some real money on this show.
Would we
But,
call him the official journalist
Sure.
of the
Yeah.
Nerd Cave Retro?
The official journalist of the Nerd Cave Retro Show, Mr. Armez Jackson. And if you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And this first one is from mynintendonews.com. 3 Genesis games available for Switch Online members. Let's see tonight. Nintendo announced that Wolf of the Battlefield Mercs, Vector Man, and ToeJam and Earl and Panic of Funkatron are now available to play on the Nintendo Switch Online. It can be found in the Sega Genesis Retro Library, and it says, yeah, that's it. Just those 3 were dropped. They have a tweet on. Do we still call them tweets, or do we call them X's, or what are we supposed to be calling these?
I
now?
have no idea.
Well, I'll just say it's a tweet. It was from Nintendo of America. It says 3 classic Sega Genesis games have been made available for Nintendo Switch Online. And, of course, it is ToeJam and Earl and Panic on Funkatron, Vector Man, and Wolf of the Battlefield Mercs.
Can I be honest? If you had asked me what games are on the Genesis portion of Nintendo Switch Online, I would have named Vector Man as one.
Yeah.
Because I would have just assumed, because Vector Man I feel like was one of the more popular Genesis games around the time it came out.
Because I still have comic books and stuff from back then, and even like the Electronic Gaming Monthlies and all that kind of stuff. Like Vector Man had a huge push behind it back then, and when I think of Genesis, that's probably in the top 10 games that I think of when it comes to Sega.
But either way, I'm glad that it is on the Switch. I'm actually really curious about ToeJam and Earl and Panic on Funkatron because I quite enjoyed the first ToeJam and Earl game. You know, it kind of gave me that Earthworm Jim vibes of just being in this weird and wacky universe. So I think I might have to give this a try.
I don't think
I've got the holiday break coming up, so
Yeah.
need something to play.
I don't think I ever played the sequel.
I didn't either. I've
What?
heard of it, but I haven't watched a single bit of gameplay.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it.
We might have to do a dual review of that.
Yeah, I'd be all right with that. Next up from NintendoLife.com, Taito Milestones 3 finally locks in a Western release date on the Switch. The third entry in Taito's Arcade Collection series has been sitting with a winter 2024 Western release date for a good few months now. But the day of the game's Japanese launch, no less, we finally have a firm date. Taito Milestones 3 will arrive on Western Switch eShops and in a physical edition on December 10th, which, if you're
Tomorrow.
watching this live, is tomorrow. Like the previous two Milestone titles, this one brings together a collection of arcade classics from the 80s and 90s, including a duo of Bubble Bobble and the full Rastin Saga trilogy. Games include Bubble Bobble, originally released in 1986, Rainbow Islands, The Story of Bubble Bobble 2, Kadash, Rastin Saga 1 and 2, Champion Wrestler, Runark, Warrior Blade, Thunder Fox, and Dead Connection. So, and yeah, we'll launch for $39.99. And you can also buy it on Amazon as well.
That's
so,
not a bad price for that. I mean, all these are great games, and we talked about this not too long ago. We figured the Western release was coming sometime soon.
yeah, it's kind of crazy that it's right in time for Christmas.
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
we've been talking about this off and on for the past several weeks. But you know, I like a good game of Bubble Bobble. So this might be something I pick up eventually. There's a couple of things that I'm curious about, like the Champion Wrestler game, the Rastin Saga. Dead Connection actually sounds kind of interesting too. That one says 4 detectives take a stand against the mafia infesting their city, mow down the oncoming gangsters, and uncover the secrets behind the case. And I do like a good mystery story, so
Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
I haven't either. Might have to check that out.
And this next story is also from NintendoLife.com. Nintendo expands Switch's online NES library with another classic, Tetris. Earlier this year, during a Tetris Forever Partner Direct trailer, it was revealed that the NES version of Tetris would be joining the Switch Online service this winter. Now, at a new update, it has been confirmed that the classic will be returning on December 12th. This game will be available to all Switch Online subscribers, and it will be, coming up on the 12th. So that is what? Today is the 9th, 10th.
It'll be Thursday.
11th, 12th, Thursday, yeah. I thought Tetris was already on there, honestly.
I do remember the direct event that they did, because I've talked about this on the show since the beginning. I'm a huge Tetris fan. It is probably one of, if not my favorite Game Boy game of all time. It's definitely in the top 5. Tetris 99, I became addicted to.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say the NES version of Tetris is the best.
That's
So
my
I'm-
favorite, honestly. I mean, if I'm going to play Tetris, that's the one I'm going to play.
It's not the one that I go to when I think of like my favorite versions, just because I played the Game Boy version so religiously.
Yeah.
But the NES version is great. It's tough to mess up Tetris.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to play this, and I've wanted to review Tetris on the show, but it's like, what do you say about it?
We matched blocks and made them disappear
We matched blocks and stuff,
and things.
and yeah, it's fun. Our last story, also from NintendoLife.com. Surprise, Night Dives The Thing Remastered is out now on the eShop. Let's see, the original story, Night Dive Studios The Thing Remastered has been sitting on a 2024 release date for a while now, and a post from the developer confirmed that it will definitely be coming in December, which it so happens to be out now. So in an update on December 5th, it says, well, would you look at that? The Thing Remastered is out right now. The remaster of the 2002 PS2, PC, and Xbox survival horror shooter is available for $29.99 on the US eShop. I thought it would be more than that.
I thought so too. I had this for the original Xbox. One of my favorite probably my favorite original Xbox game. Wish I still had it. You know my love of John Carpenter and The Thing. I think The Thing is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. The game is just as good. And I'm glad that, I was kind of scared to be like, I want to go back and find a copy and go back and play it, but is it going to look awful? Because it was like, 2002 when it came out. But now that they've remastered it and everything, I'm so excited for this. I might actually get this tonight when we're done with the show here. And it says some of the key features for it are 20 frightening levels. Lead your team against terrifying monsters, from the scuttling head spiders and human-like walkers to gigantic multi-tentacled beasts. Advanced Trust Fear interface adds a new level of interaction. How you influence your team's psychological state determines whether or not they will cooperate with you. Experience brand new dynamic lighting, specular mapping, shadows, depth of field complemented by improved models, textures, and environments to create a deep level of immersion. Use awesome firepower like machine guns, explosives, and flamethrowers. Brand new achievements, quality of life gameplay, enhancements to improve your experience, and choose multiple paths to solve problems that lie ahead and accomplish goals. I can't tell you how much I love this game, Derek. You need to play it.
I do. I'm going to be picking this up as well. It's crazy, but between this and I'm sure most everyone listening to this knows the new Indiana Jones game came out, and man, does it look good.
Why does everything... Yeah, Joey Image keeps sending us screenshots of the game, and I'm like, God damn it. I want to play it right now.
If anything was going to take him away from Days Gone, it was going to be the new Indiana Jones game.
And I think Nick in the chat room, Nick Wendling, is trying to start a fight because he says Columns is better than Tetris, LOL. I don't mind Columns. I don't either. All right.
It's not
Tetris,
bad
though, but
I just prefer Tetris.
Yeah, Tetris, man. Come on now.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm going to throw something out there that's very controversial, and I'm going to say Dr. Mario is better than both of those.
I'm kidding. No, I like Dr. Mario.
You were scaring me there for a second. I thought you were going to walk out, like log out and quit the show.
Slowly, just you see the screen go.
That's it.
Out of all the things, it was Dr. Mario that finally made me crack.
Well, Jason screwed up on the 400th episode and made Derek quit. No.
So, funny story about this game, the one we're talking about. You've seen the Kurt Russell Netflix movies, The Christmas Chronicles, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, good movies, by the way.
Someone did a side-by-side picture of Kurt Russell's character from The Thing and him in The Christmas Chronicles, and says The Thing is a Christmas Chronicles prequel.
I can live with that.
And I'm thinking, there's some world out there in the multiverse where that actually happened.
I would watch that.
I'm okay with it.
It's like I was thinking after we were talking about Ernest last week. Ernest goes to camp and Ernest saves Christmas. I'm like, why did we never get... And this got a lot of traction on Threads. I put up a post that said something like, the fact that we didn't get an Ernest P. Worrell and Pee Wee Herman team-up movie is one of the greatest missed opportunities of all time.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Really? I didn't even think about it till now. Like, imagine a movie with those two characters.
That would have been... God, people from the 80s and 90s would have ate that up.
I know, right? It would have melted my 10-year-old brain is what it would have done.
That's a good top 5 to do. Top 5 missed opportunities.
Yeah.
In the world of movies and TV.
All right. Put that in the notes, please, so we don't forget that. Yeah. And Rampage... Rampage says he used to play right now. Bust a Move a lot. I love Bust a Move. If anybody has
Bust
never
a Move
played,
was great.
Oh, that game is so good. I love Bust a Move.
The song's good too.
Yeah. But yeah, we're done with the news. We're gonna skip over this month in video game history. We'll do that next week. And but before we go into our 400th episode celebration, Derek, we have a new patron.
We do. As always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out our newest patron, Romualdo Marquez, Mr. Wally Phelps, the official fact checker of the Nerd Cave Retro Show, Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. on our Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B-Res Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, AxeBlade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, aka I am the Rampage. Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mr. Joey Image, and of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions and keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. We say it every week, but you know what? I'm going to say it again. For as little as $1 a month, you get your own custom RSS feed, which if you're a podcast fan, that's like a Christmas gift. That's getting like a custom-made Christmas gift. You get your own personal RSS feed that has 0 ads. If you just want to hear our conversations completely uninterrupted, it's just for as little as $1 a month, and you get early access to our monthly bonus episodes. I know we're in the middle of the holiday season. If you want to go back and listen to a real holiday banger, you can hear us talk about the Star Wars holiday special.
Still scarred.
We did. I should have counted how many times we looked at the time code on YouTube to see how much more we had.
I'm going to go back and listen to that episode tomorrow, and I will write down how many times we looked at the time clock to see how much longer we had on the movie.
I'm going to say 7.
At least.
7's going to be my guess.
That's probably bare minimum.
But we've also done many other commentary tracks. The list is near endless on what we've done. We've commented on full-length movies like Christmas Vacation, Clue, other shows like Gargoyles, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin. The list is near endless on what we've done, and I know we're going to be talking about a few specific commentary tracks here in just a bit. But if you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, and for new patrons, be sure to send us your social media info so we can give you a proper shout out.
And what should I play for the beginning of the thing here? Hold on. Let's play. Oh, since it's Christmas, let's do this. As we're getting close to Christmas, I want to play this as our 400th episode intro.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
So that's our intro for the 400th episode.
Right there we go. Hey, we're getting together and we'll have a few laughs.
Yeah, so we'll have a few laughs. Yeah. Just looking back over the past 8 years of episodes, it's nuts how much stuff. Because not only do we have 400 regular mainline episodes, but that doesn't even include the commentary tracks and the roundtables and everything we've done. It's insane.
It really is. And you want to know, you know how growing up, older people would say, like, you'll always remember where you were when, like, certain events happened.
Yeah.
I still remember exactly where I was when we put out the official announcement that we were doing this show.
Oh, yeah?
So it was 2016. I was still working for the Blue Wahoos at the time. And we were at this off-site leadership training seminar at the Andrews Institute in Gulf Breeze. And I remember the exact room and the exact seat that I was sitting in when we put out the logo and kind of gave a little rundown of what the show was going to be about. And I think it was maybe like a week or two before the show actually launched. I think we hadn't even recorded the first episode yet, but we just wanted to kind of get some traction going because it started as a spinoff of the original Nerd Cave podcast.
Yeah.
But I remember you approaching me with this idea, and you had gotten me back into playing retro games and whatnot, because it would be something that I would revisit every now and then, but not extensively at that time.
Same.
So whenever you asked me, I was just like absolutely. I didn't even have to think about it.
The genesis of this show for me was me getting back into retro gaming, and I remember I think I had even texted you a picture. I had beaten Mega Man 2 for the very first time in early 2016. And I had sent you a picture. I was like, I finally beat Mega Man after all these years. And I was like, I want to talk about retro games on a podcast all the time. And so, and not only that, but I was trying to find a retro gaming podcast There were none. There was the Pat the NES Punk show that he does, the what is it, not so common, not the not so common, the unnecessary podcast or something, like completely unnecessary podcast. And they've kind of gotten to where they don't really do it much anymore. But that was really the only one at the time. So that's when I came to you and I was like, hey, I think we got a pretty good shot at having a pretty, well downloaded podcast if we do this.
Yeah, because after you approached me with the idea, I even looked to see what other retro gaming shows there were, and I couldn't find any.
Yeah.
And and it would be something that would come up in conversation with friends of mine, like we talk about Mario, like Mario Kart or Donkey Kong Country, games from the Super Nintendo. And it really kind of reinvigorated, my love for it, because I'm an only child, so I had to find my own source of entertainment as a kid, and that was video games. I've told the story numerous times, but whenever I was at my aunt's house and she had the original NES and I played Legend of Zelda for the first time, that was what hooked me.
Yeah,
and I've been a fan ever since.
We when we first started doing this podcast, our original vision for the show was we were only going to do like 6 or 7 shows per season. And that ended pretty quick as soon as we started seeing the numbers we were getting, because up to that point I had already done like 2 or 3 different podcasts that never really caught on. And this one was like from the get-go, man. It just started getting downloads. I was just like, I think we got something good here.
Yeah, I was still doing the Nerd Cave at the time, and then I was about 2 years into the Derek Diamond Experience at that point. So I was like, why not do a third podcast?
Yes. Yeah, I really at that time was when I really started getting back into like collecting and stuff like that, going to the flea markets, because at that time you could still go to the flea markets and find stuff. I mean, I found 80% of my NES collection is from flea markets at that time. Now, for the past probably 4 to 5 years, I don't think I've found a single Nintendo game like at the flea markets or anywhere. And if I do, the price on them is so ridiculous. It's like, I'm not paying that for this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it's even, like I want to support the local retro gaming stores in town. Like I really do. Like I love their library. I love the fact that they sell more than just games. They sell like strategy guides, Nintendo Power magazines, but it's gotten so expensive that it's tough to justify it. And it's unfortunate because I really want to support them. Like, the Panasonic GameCube that was like a combo GameCube and DVD player.
Yeah.
A store down the road from my house has one. And I would love to get it, but I can't justify paying, $300 to $400 for it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I mean, the only games I have left that I really want for the NES are so expensive that I just can't throw down that kind of money for video games that I'm never really going to play. They're just for conversation starters. And that's even like when I think about it, like if I were to own a copy of Little Samson, like what would I do with it besides worry about it all the time and just want to put it like in a lockbox?
That's how I am with Earthbound. Would I love to have a complete inbox copy of it? Sure. But what would I do with it?
Tyler in the chat room says he used to listen to Retro Gaming Roundup, and they only put out 1 episode a month for about 20 years now, and those episodes are 4 to 7 hours long.
Woo.
Good Lord. Nope.
Even Joe Rogan would say those are long shows.
Yeah, no kidding. But some of my favorite. Let's talk about some of our favorite moments throughout the years.
Okay. I just want to kind of go back and forth.
Yeah. Let's just talk about them.
Okay, so the first one I always think of, I'm mentioning the commentary tracks. Growing up, I love the movie The Wizard. We've talked about it numerous times on the show. And I actually put a photo in our Discord of the what used to be the video store
Yeah.
that I used to rent that movie from. I didn't know a soul who had ever seen that movie until I asked you. I'm like, did you ever see this old movie called The Wizard? And you're like, yeah, I love that movie. And then we decided to do a commentary track for it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was it the first commentary track we did, but we actually did it in person because
Yeah.
it worked out to where like I had a day off of work. So I drove to your house with my computer and 2 microphones. I think you supplied the DVD
Mm-hmm.
and we just sat in your living room and watched the movie and talked about it.
That was a fun episode. I might go back and listen to that this week too.
Yeah, it's still, for sentimental reasons, it's one of my favorites because it's a big deal because you live 2 states away from me.
Mhm.
That we rarely get to do in-person shows. So once we do, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I mean, and also speaking of being in the same room together, I love doing the live ones that we do at Pensacon, even though they've relegated us to smaller and smaller venues every year, even though we fill the place up when we are there. But my favorite one that we ever did was the live show that we did at the Wayward Kraken, the nerd
Yes.
bar that used to be here where I live on the Gulf Coast and in Biloxi. And it shut down because of COVID, so thanks, COVID, for shutting down one of the best bars ever. It was a nerd bar in downtown Biloxi, and we used to do all kind of cool stuff there. Used to do trivia, and they had board games. They had food, and just really cool stuff that they always did there. And they let me and Derek do a live Nerd Cave Retro from there one time, and it was awesome. I that was something I wish we could have done all the time.
Oh, for sure. And I think if we lived closer together, we would have the chance to do live in-person shows more. But it kind of reminds me of the panels that we do at Pensacon. You feel the energy from the audience.
Yeah.
That's watching you, and it was just essentially kind of like what we're doing now. We just happened to be in person in an audience, and the bar was really cool. I hate that it closed down due to COVID, because if I lived in that area, that would have been like a regular spot for me.
It was for me. I used to go there all the time, and then just couldn't stay open whenever the Kraken. Yes, Tyler, I remember when you and Wally teamed up to beat me at video game trivia. Pepperidge Farm remembers. But let me tell you something. Let me
Pepperidge
tell y'all
Farms
something
remembers.
about that night. Tyler and Wally like to make fun of me about how they beat me at trivia that night for retro gaming trivia. I had to carry my whole team. Okay, none of those people knew anything about retro games. So the fact that I came in second and you guys came in first because you guys had 2 brains working for your team, I had 1. So I look at myself as the winner in that situation, sir. I say good day, sir.
I remember reading about that on social media, and the banter was quite fun. But I feel your pain though, because when I used to do trivia at Mellow Mushroom here in town, they had a Star Wars trivia, and it was basically me against a group of friends that were like as knowledgeable about Star Wars as I am. The only thing is they asked 1 or 2 questions from the extended universe, and I'm not as well versed in that as my friend Robbie is. So he was their ringer, and the way I look at it is he beat me.
Yeah.
And I also I ended up calling out the host because he had one of his answers wrong. So I
Ooh.
think he was a little salty at me. And then of course COVID hits a year later, and I get asked to host trivia. And because I was even like, oh, I could do that.
Mhm.
And that was karma kind of saying, okay, well, here's your chance, buddy.
I will tell you, though, when it comes down to the commentary tracks, we're talking about the Wizard. My favorite commentary track that we did this whole time is still the Super Mario Brothers movie commentary that we did, because that movie is... I don't even have the words for that movie. It's insanity on screen. Like how that movie got made and released to the public is still beyond me.
The funny thing is, so I hadn't seen that movie in years. So I decided to watch it before we did the commentary track to refresh my memory.
Oh, I went in
And sure enough,
cold.
I'm like, why'd I do this to myself?
Yeah, that's not the type of movie you want to watch 2 times in a row. That's just ugh.
So when we did the commentary for Double Dragon, I'm like, nope, I ain't falling for that again.
So which movie do you think is actually worse, Super Mario Brothers movie or Double Dragon? Because at least the Super Mario Brothers movie, at least it looked and sounded like a movie. The Double Dragon movie felt like it was a made-for-TV, like Fox Kids movie.
The way I look at it is this. The Super Mario Brothers movie, to me, is entertainingly bad. But with Double Dragon, it was just a terrible movie.
Yeah, it's just not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all.
So, oh yeah, Tyler says Double Dragon is worse.
Yeah.
The Mario Brothers movie commentary actually has a side note for some behind the scenes stuff that newer listeners may not know about, but I know the long timers, they'll know this. So we used to record the show on Sunday nights. This was before we moved to YouTube. And when I worked for the Wahoos, we would have our Sunday games would be at 4 in the afternoon. So I would stay at work to record the podcast. The problem with that is that it would be nighttime before I would leave. And I would be just sitting in this, up in the press box, and I would watch the stadium lights turn off. So all I'm looking out is just pitch black.
Oof.
So as soon as I'd leave, I'd have my phone out so I could turn the flashlight on, because I'd have to walk actually into the stadium, down into the tunnel, go all the way through it to get out, and then go into the parking lot.
Wow.
I've lost count of how many times I had to do that.
See, I would be terrified to do that. That just seems like nightmare fuel.
Yeah, it is, especially whenever you walk out and then you hear what sounds like a can being kicked or
No.
somebody moving. You're like, nope,
Nope.
we're getting out of here.
That you should have recorded. It would have been like a found footage movie of just you running and breathing hard and screaming.
I mean, they did it with Cloverfield, and it made some decent money.
Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, I totally should have done that. Oh yeah, Iron Monkey. Yeah, it sounds like a Resident Evil game. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it was.
That's what I was thinking. It's like Resident Evil.
I don't know how it is now, but I know that at a time there have been homeless people that were found either in the tunnel or in the bathrooms in the tunnel.
Derek Timon gets murdered by hobo.
But yeah, there's several instances like that, and it's just kind of, with the wacky schedule I had at the time, that's kind of what we had to do.
Do you miss working for them though? Because
No.
no, no, not
But
at all.
here's the thing. For a time, I did enjoy it, and I learned a lot there, and I did get to do some really cool things. But it's different when you're in your mid 30s than it is when you're in your mid 20s when I started.
Yeah.
So I don't have the energy to work that kind of schedule anymore.
Yeah, I understand completely. Like, even wait till you're 47 and you're just like done with everything. Like, I'm just done. I did see on here that we both have we both mentioned the Thunder in Paradise commentary. Wow. The 90s was wild. I just have to say that. Like, the 90s had a special flavor to it.
Whether you want to say it's a good flavor or a bad flavor is really up to you.
Yeah.
But it's like that saying, it was a choice or it was a decision. You're not saying if it's good or bad. It's just, you look at shows like Thunder in Paradise. I'll throw Baywatch in there too. Just stuff that's like, it's almost like it's meant to be bad.
Yeah. Well, it's that syndication, like you could tell it's made on the cheap, and it's very quickly, like everything is first takes. Like there are barely any second, like everything's done as fast as possible. It's done with the cheapest equipment possible, and it's thrown together and then, put up for auction, I guess. That's how, I don't know how syndication used to work back in the day, but they would just syndicate these awful TV shows, throw some, Calgon commercials on them and call it an hour. And it would, like maybe 1 out of every 10 shows was still watchable to this day. But more than likely, most of them were like Thunder in Paradise, where it's the entertainment and is in how awful it is.
I think if we were to pick a commentary track in which we laugh the most between all four of us, I think it has to be Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah,
because I remember some of the shots were just so bad that I'm like almost falling out of my chair laughing.
Yeah,
how bad it is.
And I love it when you have a TV show that's cheap like that, and they throw in some B-roll, and it's like not even the same film stock, and it's like 30 years old, and you're just like, what is this?
It's like what they did with the Power Rangers.
Yeah,
they use the footage from the Japanese show whenever they're all in the suits, and it's so obviously different than the stuff they filmed in the States. But for some reason it worked. But I think you might be onto something. I could see Thunder in Paradise totally doing like the soap opera schedule, where you get one rehearsal and one take, and then you move on.
It's shot like a play, basically. It's just like Hulk Hogan shows up for the day, and they're like, all right, we got to do how many scenes today? 15? All right, let's get going.
But I will say that if not for Thunder in Paradise, we probably wouldn't have gotten the NWO in WCW, because he was filming that show, and then that's what led him to meeting with Eric Bischoff and signing with WCW. And then that kind of kick-started a really fun time in wrestling.
Oh, we know it got a game, Tyler. He said the Thunder in Paradise got a game. It was on CDI. Weren't we looking for a way to play it, and we found one, and I just kind of forgot about it?
I wonder if it's on playclassic.games.
Yeah, I think Joey showed us a way to play it. I'll have to go back and look. And IR Monkey says the 90s was the best when we all partied like we weren't going to make it to 2001. Like, yeah, that's how the 90s feel now. It's like it was just anything went. Like there was just so much cocaine in all entertainment. They were just doing anything and everything that they could just throw on film.
Yeah, the 90s was a very weird time. It was very much the age of, I call it the age of rebellion.
Yeah.
Because you had the grunge movement, you had the Attitude Era in wrestling. A lot of the movies had this very like anti-establishment kind of feel to it. So 90s was a weird time. Like I know I was a kid during that time, but I still remember a lot of it.
Yeah, I was a teenager in the 90s, so it was like I was smacked in the face with pop culture at that time. So, I lived
it. You were right in the thick of it.
Yeah, that's where my Gen X-ness comes in, and I want to talk about some of our rants. My favorite rant was my original Fester's Quest rant when I was we recorded the show and I was getting sick at the time, and over the course of the show, I was starting to run a fever and starting to feel like crap, and I was ready to just break something.
Yeah, I remember just as much as the rant, you texting me after the show, and you're like, I feel so awful. But yeah, it's still, I think, the most legendary rant that's happened on this show. And it's kind of crazy that it shows the staying power that it has, because that was pretty early.
Yeah,
in the show's run,
and people still bring it up to me to this day. I'm like, that must have just struck a nerve with people for that rant.
That needs to be released as like a YouTube short.
It should. I think that was before we even started doing video.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it was early on.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when we actually started doing video. I want
I
to say
have
it
to
was
look-
maybe like
Yeah.
a year or two after we started.
Yeah, we were
Because I
well
know
into it.
I had moved into my house at the time that we were starting it. Because I used to record in a different room because I had a green screen background
Mhm.
that I never really utilized for the podcast, but it was more for like, in-person video shoots and whatnot. But
Yeah.
then revamped this room
Oh,
soon after. So
Nick Wendling in the chat room says we should do a commentary on Troll 2. I actually was going to bring that up to you a couple of weeks ago because I've been hearing a lot about Troll 2 lately. They even did I think How Did This Get Made not too long ago on Troll 2, and I've never seen it. And I know it's like one of the best, worst movies ever made. So I would like to do a commentary for at least a roundtable about it.
and I've never seen it either. And it's one of those legendary movies, like you said, it's one of the best worst movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to do a commentary for it and know like nothing about it.
Yeah, let's
Just
do
go
that.
in ice cold.
Let's do it. We'll see if our friend it rhymes with Moe Limage and put it on a Plex server for us so we can watch it.
Our gentleman scholar friend Joseph Photograph.
Yeah. And you know what? One of my favorite things that still makes me laugh to this day is the top 5 worst video game covers thumbnail that I made for YouTube.
Oh, is that the one where you gave me the beard? Oh, what
Yeah.
what cover was that?
It was the cover was from not Astion, Phalanx or whatever, the one with the old man playing the banjo, and I cut your face out and put it in over his, and it like blended perfectly, and every time I see it, it cracks me up.
If we're still doing this show 30 years from now, I'm going to grow out that beard, and that will be my look for the show.
And I put my face on the that horrible Mega Man 1 cover.
Oh, yeah, that god-awful cover.
God, we still have to find whoever did that and be like, why? Were you, who, how, what?
I might have to introduce them to some pavement. No, that was a fun top 5 to do, the worst video game covers.
Yeah. I like that episode. I love doing those top 5s where we do like the top 5 worst mascots and all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I remember we did the failed video game mascots, and then we did the weird commercials like with Mac Tonight
Yeah.
and the dancing old man from the Six Flags commercials.
Both of those things feel like fever dreams, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, what was advertising doing back then?
Every now and then the song from that commercial will pop up in my head. Like I'll just be like walking into my office and all of a sudden I hear and in my mind I'm like
and the great Mario debate, which still rages on to this day, which is better, Mario 3 or Super Nintendo. That was actually like our second or third episode that we did. We went back and revisited like a year or so ago, talked about it again. But it's still up for debate, which is better, Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World. And to me, they always flip-flop. They will always flip-flop.
What was interesting about that particular show is that I think it's a reflection on what the show was going to be.
Yeah.
At that point, because you talked about the show going to be seasonal. So we would do 2 reviews a show. You would do one and I would do one. Because I remember when we decided on the first episode, I instantly knew that my first review was going to be Link to the Past. And we talked about Mario 3 and Super Mario World. And we're like, well, why don't we just have a debate on it?
Yeah.
It's really one of those things, like, it wasn't like a heated debate because we both like both games. It's just a matter of which one did you grow up with.
And for
me, it was fun going back and revisiting them individually.
Yeah.
And I know that those are 2 of our more popular shows, especially on YouTube.
Yep.
So that it's one that's still that's still up for debate.
Honestly, I think I looked at it not too long ago. I think the Super Mario World review is one of our most downloaded episodes of all time.
It's just one that, that game introduced what a lot of people consider to be the best Nintendo console ever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you on that. That's
because
fact.
of the two games that I have the biggest, that have had the biggest impact on me, if not Link to the Past, it's absolutely Super Mario World. Just because between the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy Advance re-release, the various virtual consoles, and other not so kosher ways to play it. I mean, it's one of the games that I've played the most of my entire life since it came out in the States in '91.
I still say if after you die you get to relive some of your favorite moments in your life, I still want to go back and relive that moment on Christmas morning, 1991, when I hooked up the Super Nintendo, turned it on, and you hear that bling of Super Mario World, and then the music kicks in. Like, that's just a memory that's just like that is a cemented memory right there.
Oh, 100%. And Nick in the chat says Super Mario Brothers 3 is my favorite Mario game. It's definitely, it's a lot of people's favorite. It's either my number 2 or number 3.
Yeah,
I love Super Mario Brothers 3. That's one of the big reasons why I enjoyed The Wizard.
Oh, same here. I think one of my most recent favorite things on the show is the Mark Simmons whiteboard rant about Final Fantasy VIII. That was that took some prep work on his part, and I can't thank him enough for that bit.
Yeah, it was. I was honestly impressed with it, because that's something that, like, I don't have it in me to do anything like that. So, props to Mark/Mushmouth. And look who we've got in the chat.
Jacob Craig rears his ugly head in the chat room. My co-host on Open Micer says 400 episodes. How many more can Derek possibly take before he gets tired of your Nintendo rants and leaves you? Hey, he rants just as bad as I do, man.
And for some reason, you get more of the heat.
I know
than I do.
You never get any heat. Derek could say the most wrong thing. Be like, the Nintendo Entertainment Center came out in 1998. Everybody would be like, yeah, that's right. Even Wally would be like, yeah, that's correct. It came out in 1998.
He would forge an article just to prove you wrong.
Yeah. If I say one thing wrong, like when I'm talking, and sometimes you say one thing and mean another, but you know what the person's talking about. Wally takes me to task, man. Like, just like, why do you ever go after Derek like that?
I'm sure he'll answer us on social media tomorrow.
It's not even just Wally. I get it from other people too. It's just like, hey, you did this wrong. You said this wrong. I'm like, well, you still know what I'm talking about.
The biggest example I can think of is the thank you, Rampage. He says my hair is an invincibility shield. It's all the product that I have to put in it.
See, how do you block? I am the Rampage.
I think of the Final Fantasy deal that we've been doing, where we make fun of the numbering system.
Yeah.
I'm the one that started all that. Because I remember posting on our Twitter, I said the best thing to do with a Final Fantasy game, and I was at a retro gaming store and I was holding it in my hand, and I filmed a video of me putting it back on the shelf.
And you get nothing for it. If I was to do that, people would be burning my home down that day.
If that ever happens, I'll rush over and I'll protect you with my hair, since it's an invincibility shield.
We're coming up close to the end of the show, so we'll start wrapping this up here in a minute. But one of the things I put in my notes is I just wanted to say how much I love doing this show and how much I love and cherish you as a friend, Derek. And I can't thank you enough for doing this show with me and agreeing to do it. And this community that we've created, especially the community on Discord and just around the show. I love it, and I can't thank you all enough for listening every week. And yeah, I don't mind if you come after me for stuff, but go after Derek a little more sometimes. He says some wrong things sometimes
I can take
too.
the heat.
But yeah, I love it. I love all of it. I love our Discord. I love talking with everybody all the time, and this show has gotten me through a lot of hard times over the years. And this is one of the things I look forward to every single week is this show.
Yeah, and I want to echo those sentiments because this show, it's been around for a long time, and it's also like a reflection on our lives, because we were both in completely different situations when we started, and we've been through some great things, and we've been through some pretty terrible things.
Yeah. And we always are there to catch each other when things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think one of the things that has kept us going has been doing this show, and the friendships. I put this in my notes too. The friendships that we've made along the way.
Yeah. From
meeting Rampage, everybody in the Discord, meeting Wally, Joey. It's been really, really cool. And 20 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do this because the technology wasn't there, but it's there now. And, I thank you for your friendship and for asking me to do this show with you.
There was nobody else I'd rather do it with. It's just, we had that chemistry when we used to do the shows together, like we do the crossover episodes with Pop Culture Palette and the Nerd Cave podcast. And it was like, I like this guy. We should do some stuff together. So we ended up doing a podcast, and here we are 8 years later, 400 episodes. It's probably more like 600 with all the commentary tracks and everything. Maybe a little over 500 or so, 550, somewhere around there. It's an insane number of episodes, but thank you for being my friend, and thank you for doing this show with me. And I don't ever want to stop. I want us to keep doing this show until we're in the old folks' home together.
We'd probably still be doing it then.
Yeah, we'll be fighting over the weed nunchucks and all that stuff.
I'll be in one of those big iron lungs, and my head will be turned to the side.
And you just have like your two hands sticking out the side.
But no, same to you, sir. Like I said, I consider you to be one of my best friends, and I'm glad that we get to do this show together.
And we do have some emails and some MP3s to get to. Do you want to do the MP3s first and then do the emails?
Yeah.
All right. Up first, we have our good friend, Mr. Brandon Rutledge, Picola Asian, on the Discord, and he sent this in earlier this week and playing it right now.
Hey, Jason, Derek, congratulations. 400 episodes. What a journey. Was it like 7+ years, I believe? Which is absolutely crazy. I've been with you guys since episode 30-something, whenever you all covered Super Mario Kart. Real proud of you guys. Started off as a fan. I'm proud to call both you guys close friends of mine. Again, congratulations on 400 episodes. I would say here's to another 400, but I feel like by that point, Nintendo Switch games will be retro. So, but just keep going as long as you can, and I'll be with you every step of the way. Love you guys.
Thank you so much, Brandon. We love you too,
sir.
Man. And also, we got one from Mr. Joey Image, our good friend and world champion wrestler, Mr. Joey Image. He sent this in earlier today.
Hey, this is Joey Image, your favorite Italian hero pro wrestler. Just saying congrats to NCR and 400 episodes, 400 kick-ass episodes, by the way. My buddy Jay, my buddy Derek, Wally's in there somewhere, Rampage, myself, all of us in the entire community. We all love you guys. And again, happy 400. Here's to 400. Here's to 800 more.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Our favorite Italian. I like that. So like that's how my grandma used to pronounce Italian stuff. She's like, let's go get some Italian food.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my grandparents both did that too.
And IR Monkey in the chat says, I just want to say thank you guys for doing this. It inspired me to attempt my first. And you guys have been excellent entertainment. Well, thank you so much, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you for the kind words. That's awesome.
And one of the emails I want to read here, we got from Yup Fed, aka Knife. He says, "Hey y'all, Knife here. While I haven't been listening to the show as long as some others have, I absolutely love the show as well as the community. It takes me back to my childhood, and I love every minute. From hearing about new games I never played, i.e. Porky, to the wrestling discussions, it's all nice to hear. So much so it has me pondering if I should do a wrestling podcast again. Jay and Derek make it so fun and laid back. Podcasts anymore tend to be very over the top at times, and NCR does a great job at being the exact opposite. Congrats on the 400 episodes, and I can't wait to see what 2025 brings. P.S. We got to review WWF in your house on SNES sometime."
We do have our wrestling month coming up, so
Yeah, we do.
I'd have to keep that in mind.
And I like that he mentioned that we don't like to be like over the top and stuff on this show. That's actually something we talked about before we started the show. Is we didn't want to be like some of the retro YouTubers and stuff, like how negative they are, and like they're just they nothing but controversy to get listeners. And I never
Clickbait.
wanted to be like that. Yeah, I never wanted to be a clickbait show ever. I would rather be a show of, yeah, we do our rants and stuff, but we're pretty positive fellas here on the show. I want this to be a fun listen.
Well, I think we're pretty straightforward about what we talk about too. Like you get these podcasters that will, and not just podcasters, but journalists that will come up with like misleading titles or
Yeah.
things that just want you to click so they can get the view or the download, and it's really nothing
Yeah.
that they tell you. So
I don't want to be like that ever.
no,
I'd rather
I
be
can't stand that.
I just can't sell myself out like that. I just can't.
Yeah, I think that's why people listen.
Mhm.
So, next up we have Jonathan Montez. Good evening, gentlemen. Just wanted to give you a shout out and congratulate you guys on the upcoming 400th episode. Big fan of the show. You guys make my 10-hour days at the office fly by. Being in my early 40s and being a gamer myself and collector of all things retro, your show brings me happiness and nostalgia. And he also sent a screen cap of us in his Spotify Wrapped
Yeah.
for being in his top 5 podcasts. So thank you, Jonathan.
We're
That's
only at
awesome.
number 4 though. You need to bump them numbers up. You need to them's rookie numbers.
Hey, 4 is my favorite number, so I can't entirely fault him.
Yeah, but I told him thank you so much, and of course, if we are in your year-end wrap-up, wherever you listen to the show, if they do a year-end wrap-up and we're in your top 5, send me an email or get a hold of us on the Discord. I will send you a sticker over the holidays. So we've gotten a handful so far of people sending us their wrap-ups. So if you got it, send it to me. I'll send you a sticker. And let's see, which one's the next one? We have Tyler.
It should be Tyler.
Happy 400 episodes, NCR. To quote the intro to Star Trek Enterprise, it's been a long road getting from there to here. Can we just stop for a second and talk about how awful that theme song is? It's terrible.
I mean, I was just going to say the show wasn't that great either.
Well, the show was okay, but God, I skipped it. It's
It was-
one of the only shows I ever skipped the intro for.
Yeah, it's bad.
Ugh.
That show just never. I like the idea of it. I just could not get into it. Maybe it
Yeah.
was the song that just completely
Maybe.
took me out of it. But
It just
I
ruined it.
just could never get into Enterprise.
No. Here's a lengthy and last-minute email from me. Would you have expected anything less from me, though? Not at all.
Nope.
I just recently realized that I have been listening to Jason talk for 11 years now. I'm sorry. Way back to the Broke Nerdcast days. And our first interaction, ironically, involved games. I randomly found his and Wally's show and didn't realize they were local until Biloxi was mentioned. They asked for listener emails, so I decided to send one asking if they knew of places to find some cheap retro games because you never know if a guy knows a guy who knows another guy that knows something. While they didn't, outside of that one overpriced store that was in Edgewater Mall, I stayed on as a listener. And eventually, over the course of a couple of different shows, we come to Pop Culture Palette, and it's a crossover with the original Nerd Cave show. And it's there I got introduced to Derek, which led me to sub to the Derek Diamond Experience. So when they announced the creation of NCR, I was very excited since it's a subject I love. I downloaded the first episode as soon as it dropped, and I haven't stopped since. And it's been a wild ride. Thinking of Jason's Fester's Quest rant still makes me giggle. I can't read the word rampage anywhere without pronouncing it as rampage. And I can't think of Days Gone without immediately thinking of Joey Image. Hopefully I don't come off as narcissistic saying this, but I think my favorite memory is the time I got to be on the show. It meant a lot to me because all I've ever wanted is to talk about things I enjoy with people I like, not just in this sense, but in everyday life as well. So I'll be forever grateful for that opportunity to do so with y'all. That being said, I hope we bring back those community episodes of the show, since that was how I was on. We do need to do that again. We need to get back to that. You guys got to hold us to this stuff, because we get wrapped up in doing everything else. We forget to do things. So that's why we need Bethany Fox to keep us in line. We gotten a lot of cool folks on the Discord community since those days, and I'd love to hear from them too. Big shout out to Bethany Fox for managing everything on the Discord too. This show makes me happy, the hosts make me happy, and the community makes me happy, so I'm glad to be on this ride with all of you. So strap yourselves in and keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because we still got a long way to go. Here's to another 400 and many more. Thank you, Tyler. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I love that. I always love hearing what Tyler has to say.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think my legacy of this show will be Rampage.
Rampage. Speaking of Rampage,
he is our final email for the evening. He says, I found you guys during a tough time in my life. I had very few friends that I could truly call friends after my separation from my now ex-wife. People just sort of assumed I must have been a cheater and didn't know the truth about what happened behind closed doors. Anyway, enough about that. I believe it was mid-2017 when I first found y'all. I had started at my job in March, and a few months later, I started listening to podcasts again. One day, I was looking through other video game-related shows. They were okay, but not really what I was looking for. I suppose I was looking for a connection of some sort, and I came across NCR. I was playing a lot of 16-bit era games at the time, and I'm pretty sure the first episode I listened to was Volume 11, Super Metroid. Then Volume 5, Donkey Kong Country. Y'all's love for retro games was very clear to me, and y'all weren't just doing a show for show's sake. Finally, I found some like-minded people that truly shared my love for the old-school games that I grew up with. So I started at Volume 1, listening at higher speeds so I could catch up. Little by little, while I was driving, I would have y'all in my ears. As the episodes went on, you could hear demeanors change in both Jason becoming more joyful and Derek coming out of his shell. I got earbuds and would be walking down the hallways of hospitals, and then one of you would say something funny, and I'd have a big cheesy grin on my face or bust out laughing, sometimes at inappropriate times. Plus, if it weren't for y'all, I would have never met Wally, who I consider one of the people I am closest to. I know this is getting long-winded, but I want to thank you both for being a part of my life, and just being yourselves. You really helped me get through that rough time, and you still sometimes do when I'm having a bad day. I consider the both of you good friends of mine, even though I haven't had the chance to hang out much with y'all more regularly, especially that I haven't had a face-to-face with Derek. We'll meet up one day soon. Yeah, we will change that, Rampage. Thank you guys just for being you. Congratulations on 400. Your friend always. I am the Rampage. Well, that first paragraph alone makes the show worth it.
Yeah. Just to know that, and I've heard it before from people that they're like, your show get me through some hard times, and like, that's nice to hear, because I have some hard times too, and there's a lot of shows I listen to that get me through hard times, and it's like you look at those shows with a special spot in your heart, and you're just like, man, if it wasn't for that, like, it would be dark time. So I'm glad we can be kind of a light in the darkness for when people are down, Well,
there's just so much negativity out there that we all got to have our little pockets of joy and positivity. And if we can bring that to people through just being goofy and talking about video games, then the show is worth it.
Yeah. But I mean, on that note, I love every single one of you guys. I love our Discord community. Thank you for being a part of the show. If it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't still be doing this. I mean, if we were getting, 2 downloads a week, it's like, why are we doing it? But we put out shows and you guys still listen, and we still are growing. So, every month we're like, there are some days where we get so many downloads. I'll send a screenshot to Derek and be like, what did we do? Like, what happened? And it's, thank you all for listening and sharing, and, tell your friends. If you got friends that like old video games, send them our way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't have said it any better. Doing the show is a highlight I always enjoy. I know I'm not as active as some in the Discord, but I still read through the comments to see, kind of what everybody's up to. So I love that we have a platform where we can all connect and, talk about things that we love.
And the Discord is really active. So, I understand, like, if you've never been to Discord or anything, like, it can be kind of scary jumping into new places sometimes, but just jump in there and say, if you've never been on Discord, go join our community, jump in and say hi, and just, start jumping in the conversations. It's always something going on in there. It's always fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Derek, we're at the end of episode 400. I don't want it to end. I just want to keep going and talk about how awesome the show has been.
Next week starts the trek to another 400.
Yep. We'll start off at episode 401 with
Sonic and Shadow Generations, specifically the Shadow Generations portion of the game. I can't believe it, but next week is when Sonic 3 comes out. Sonic 3, the movie, will be coming out in theaters next week. So I thought it'd be a fun time to talk about a Sonic game. So I have completed it. So I'll be giving a full review of the game from start to finish. And no early spoilers, but I loved it.
And I'm going to try to go see it as soon as it comes out. And maybe me and you can knock out a quick impressions spoiler cast after we get to see the movie.
Yeah.
But I do also have a listener review from Bethany Fox from the Discord. I know I've pushed it back like 4 times now, but we're running very late on this episode. So we'll push it back one more week. I promise, Bethany, we'll get to it next week.
Yep, absolutely.
And on that note, Derek, what's going on? I know that we do have to mention that Real Wisdom has gone away.
Yeah, and I'll just be quick with this. With everything that's kind of going on right now with, I don't want to jinx stuff and give it away, but I have some things in the works that has taken up more of my time. So I decided to end the show, Real Wisdom / The Derek Diamond Experience, but there's 400 episodes of The Derek Diamond Experience. There's 15 episodes of Real Wisdom, so there's plenty of content there if you still want to go back and listen to it. If you're a new listener and you want to hear, some fun movie roundtables, some fun discussions with filmmakers. And funny enough, if you want to go back to the very beginning of the show, I had Jason on as a guest, and that's how we met.
Was
through doing that show. So
I've asked Derek if it's okay if I could put all the roundtables and stuff that we've done for the Derek Diamond Experience and Real Wisdom and stuff on the Nerd Cave Retro feed, and he said yes. But what if we put our very first episode up on the feed too, so people can hear us when we first kind of met?
I think that'd be really cool. Actually,
so all you got, just send them to me, and then I'll put them on the feed.
Yeah, I'll send you the MP3s.
I think it'd be a nice Christmas present for everybody. They could go back to the genesis of the the seed that became the Nerd Cave Retro Show.
No lie, like that's how Jason and I met, was through me. I met Steve Scott, his former co-host of Pop Culture Palette, at the first Pensacon, and then I started listening to that show, and you were telling like your backstory, and my show was a variety show at that point, so I was like, he'd be fun to talk to.
Yeah.
And little did either of us know that 2 years later, we'd be doing a podcast together.
And then 10 years later, we're celebrating 400 episodes of said podcast.
Oh yeah, that interview was back in 2014.
10 years
Holy
later.
crap!
Wow.
Woo!
We're getting old, buddy. We're getting old.
How have you put up with me for a decade?
How'd you put up with me? I'm the doddering old dementia patient over here. And for the Open Micers podcast, go check it out. At Open Micers podcast on Instagram, at Open Micers on Threads. It's at Open Micers podcast on Threads, at Open Micers on Twitter. Don't really do much over there anymore. So if you want to follow us, go over to Threads and Instagram and all that stuff. But openmicers.com, we've had some really good guests on. I had another good guest on last week, Mr. David Lynham, who was basically a better version of me. More successful version of me. He's a drummer turned comedian turned podcaster and actually makes money doing all that stuff. I haven't figured that part out yet. So we picked his brain, and that was a great episode. And we do hostful episodes where me and Jacob Craig make fun of each other all the time, and it's just a good fun show. So go check it out, theopenmicers.com. So Derek, is that it? Is that everything?
I think so.
Let's get out of here. If you want to email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Nerdcaveretro.com is our link tree. That takes you everywhere you need to go. All the socials, the Discord, and of course, our merch shop. You can go to ncrmerch.com. Over there, you can get all styles of different stuff, like embarrassingly retro shirts. You can get hats and magnets and bags and mugs, all kind of stuff. Just go check it out, ncrmerch.com. And if you can't be a part of the Patreon, you can't afford any merch, that's okay. I know it's Christmas, times are tough. Go leave us a review and or a 5-star rating on all the podcasting platforms that allow you to do so. That helps us out so much. Derek, thank you for 400 episodes, sir. Let's get out of here. What do you say?
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yeah.
They conducted rituals up on the roof. Bizarre rituals intended to bring about the end of the world, and now it looks like it may actually happen.
So be good, for goodness sake. Whoa, somebody's
We
coming.
have to get out of here. We've got to find a judge or something.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey.
And that's an episode, everybody. 400 in the can.
Yep.
Wow.
Now we start the trek to 500.
Yeah. Now we start the real show. Jonathan Montez popped up in the chat room.
Nice.
Thank you for hanging out. And I think we read your name a little while ago too. Our newest patron, I believe.
We read his email as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the email. So, but yeah, thank you for joining us, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you to everybody for joining us in the chat. And we'll see you guys for episode 401.
401 right here next Monday. So thank you guys so much.